So we've structured this guide in 5 key steps. The first one being unlocking key talent in Latin America. Rod, that one is all yours.
Yeah, so for this step, we're going to break it down into 2 parts. First, it's where to look in Latin America and the process, and then what are the particularities of each country and each place where you hire, right? So going to the first one, where to look. Latin America, it's a huge place where we have a lot of countries. Most of them speak in Spanish, only one of them speaks in Portuguese. But the good news about Latin America is that we overlap a lot of time with the US. So we're basically in the same time zone. And the process that we follow when we look into people in Latin America, it's a 4-step process. First of all, we source for them, we convince them to go into a screening interview. And when in the screening interview, we basically separate the wheat from the chaff. We ask them specific questions about their working history, about what are they looking for, and what are their interests. And we evaluate their English level by speaking in English, and we also evaluate some technical aspect. But it's not about the technical aspect per se, it's more about how convinced they are, how interested they are in making a change. So we show them a snippet of code, and we have several questions that are very simple. Anyone who has any kind of computer science knowledge will know it. I know that this question was designed by you in the past, Oscar.
A long time ago. Rod, a quick question. What would you say is the pass rate for this initial screening interview?
So in the first initial, it's between 50 and 60% are the ones that pass this first initial step. The second step, it's a very technical step where we send them a take-home test. We expect them to finish it between an hour and a half take-home test. And the ones that pass that step, that again, it's between 50 and 60%, go to an on-site interview with one of our developers. We separate that interview into 2 parts. The first one is conversational, where we ask several questions about the technology, where we ask questions about the language, the programming language that they are applying to, and it goes in depth to evaluate how senior that person is.
These are customized per technology?
Yes.
Per the requirement.
Every single technology that the developers apply to has different set of questions, except for the computer science ones that are generic for everyone. The second part of that interview, it's an per programming exercise where we don't expect them to actually finish it, because we don't evaluate how good they code there. That's why we did the first part. But we evaluate how they work with a teammate, how they take the feedback. Do they implement that feedback? Do they reply to that feedback? Do they have their own opinions and how they express them? So we just want them to kind of have an idea of how to solve the problem, but also we evaluate how they work as a teammate. Then the last but not least interview that we put the candidate through is the engineer management department. And I know here all your team takes those interviews. It's more of a cultural interview where we check how good their communication style is, what are the methodologies that they use. We check again the English level to contrast with the first evaluation. And we put them also through an architecture exercise. Again, it's an exercise where we just make a statement and ask them for a solution. And there's not a single correct answer. There are plenty of answers, but it's more about how the candidate asks questions to the interviewer to get more clarity on the problem, and also how to kind of round up a solution and express it to a third party. After that interview, we say that the candidate is Howdy approved, and it's only then when we're going to send the candidates. And we'll ask our partners not to have more than 1 or 2 interviews, ideally not more than 90 minutes overall, because the candidate already went through the very heavy interview process. And if we take longer, we can lose that candidate. So that's the first part of unlocking the talent in LATAM. Knowing where to look for it, and also having an interesting vetting process to evaluate and separate the good engineers.